the overall purpose and the overall thought behind it is to help seniors. And I think that with that being said, it has helped get me to the point that I'm at now.
Yeah, I love it. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I always ask people to pray for ideas, imagination, and implementation. So I'm assuming that at some point, Florida Moving Pros was ideas and imagination.
For sure.
What pushed you? Because I find the implementation is the crippling part. Because we get ideas for days, and then something had to. I want to know what pushed.
I think the push for me was the kids.
Yeah.
Having Carmen the same year I started the business. I just was like, how am I supposed to spend time with my kids, dude? How am I supposed to have this life I've always dreamed of, working 40 to 60 hours a week at a moving company? Or, I was welding as well. I went to welding school, did the whole thing, and was paired up with some shitty individuals. And I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to do this? I don't understand how people operate on a 9 to 5 and still have like real quality time with their children. Yeah. But I saw business owners, because I was in B&I, the company I used to work for put me in B&I, and I saw all these business owners having like major time with their family, like Dan Eckhart and Pat Myers and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, they work 24/7 in their business, but they have ample time with their families. And why does a business owner versus an employee, why is it different? It's because the business owner chooses. This is my business. I will choose when I want to have time with my family and when I want to work. And Daryl Stevens was like, he was on the podcast as well, and we talked about expanding his business and this, that, and the other. And he was like, yeah, I could, but I don't want to, because I want to spend time with my family while they're young and while these memories are here. And when they're older, they won't want to hang out with me as much. So why would I waste the time now starting a business when I could just do it in the future?
Right.
And I just, that shit sticks in my head when he said that too, because like I'm always constantly thinking about like growth. How can I get more money? How can I do this? Blah, 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 blah. But it's like, you're doing the most important thing, Austin, which is spending so much time with your family and creating these memories and creating these moments of time that, yes, my kids are super young, but boy, I'm going to hold on to these memories forever, man. Yeah. And like the long road trips that are fucking miserable, dude. But like those moments that are miserable in the moment are what parents think about in the future of being like such a like memorable experience, and like they take it to their grave because like, yeah, it was miserable, but like, damn, we created some fucking sick memories, dude. Like, you know what I mean? And so I forget what the question was where I rambled off into that, but like, what was the question again?
I just asked you what pushed you into the implementation of Florida Moving.
So the kids and the making memories with the kids, and Carmen obviously was that real push, and like being able to provide for my family and having the freedom to spend time with them too is like because working at a 9 to 5, man, when you get done with work, you're fucking done, dude. Right. You're so done.
Right.
And I have employees, and I try to create a different atmosphere than what I have been exposed to in my working career life, where, all of us are boys at work. All of us are friends at work. So to create the atmosphere of like, you don't hate coming to work.
Right.
The job sometimes sucks. It's hot as hell outside, and it's humid, and it's raining, and we got to move all these people's shit and, whatever. But like, to be able to show up at work and dap your boys up and like who you're working with, and, look up to the leaders in the business and like all that stuff, like that is what I've always wanted as an employee to have. And that's why I've always chosen like mom or pop businesses to work at, because I've tried working at big corporate stuff, and like it's just not as like family friendly, and like not as like a culture behind it. And every mom and pop business that I've worked at always had like some kind of like culture. And might not have been the best culture because it didn't keep me around, but it taught me to create, like, culture is one of the most important parts of a company when you're starting a business, is like, especially when there's employees involved, is like creating like a good atmosphere for everybody to be in and speak truth about, if I'm fucking up or if you're messing up, like I can say these things and there's no like animosity about it. And I'm not perfect. I mess up all the time. Like last month I took 2 vacations and I moved into my new home and I was gone a lot of the time. So a lot of moves didn't get booked and like we had a really low month because I just wasn't present. I was missing calls. I wasn't following up and I was just leaving everything to Seth. And that's wrong of me to do. But again, it's my business and I can create these memories with my family and bounce back from this low month. So it's like, it's my fucking choice. I'm going to do this because I can and I want to spend time with my family. Like, and so it all goes back to family. What made me take the leap? It's my family, man.
Right.
And the support of my wife, having a kid so being pregnant, buying a house, starting a business, and then working in that business constantly my first year because we had a newborn baby. Trying to provide, it was hard at first, but now I've pushed off. The guys have pushed me off the truck, and I have way much more free time. But I can still be at home and take calls, answer calls, make sales calls, stuff like that. And so I'm able to spend a ton more time with my family, which is what I always envisioned. I'm not a millionaire. I don't even make 6 figures, dude. Like I'm just trying to build a solid foundation for the future of my life because I know my kids are not always going to be this young and I'm not going to be able to ever get these memories back.
Yeah.
And that is the most important thing for me. And me and my wife, we get by and, we're not making $1 million or whatever, but we're comfortable. We're fine.
Right.
Like we struggle sometimes and that's okay. It's a part of the process, I think. And my mom and I were talking, my brother's birthday was Sunday and, tragedy hits everybody.
Right.
And that tragedy when my brother died was super major, man, super major. I loved my brother so much. He was such a major role in my life and who I am. And obviously my parent, it hit them even harder because that's their kid. I can only imagine losing a child, dude. Like, and so we were talking about like how no one's safe. No one is safe from tragedy. And it can happen with a blink of an eye, man. Yeah. And I think that a lot of my trauma that happened when I was young propelled me into the man that I am today. Because without that stuff happening to me, I wouldn't have learned the lessons. I wouldn't have bounced back. People that have not a lot of loss in their life, I feel really, it's weird to say, like I feel kind of bad for them that they have to experience loss later in life.
Right.
And it hits them like a ton of bricks.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it really fucks them up for their kids, seeing them go through this kind of thing. Maybe they've had some other past trauma in their life and then they lose somebody really serious, maybe a mom or a dad or a wife or a kid or something like that. And they just don't know what to do with themselves. And for me, losing my brother at 16 and losing my dad at 33, and I lost over 20 friends in my life. I mean, it's insane between overdose, car crashes, shootings, all kinds of stupid shit, man. I feel like that loss of all of those people that I had, in order to get here, I had to go through that.
Right.
And that's hard to see. It's hard to say in hindsight.
Yeah.
That I had to lose all of these people to become the man that I am today.
Yeah.
And, people could say, well, you couldn't lose anybody. You could be a really great man. But once you lose somebody, how is that going to affect you without having like past experiences too? And, as tough it is to say, like losing my brother was probably the leading factor of moving to Florida, completely revamping my life, getting rid of all of my old friends and people that I hung out with and the drugs and the alcohol and stuff like that. Like if I didn't lose him, I would have never been able to see what I was missing.
Right.
And a lot of people don't have that. And I want to say it's a blessing and a curse. Like, yeah, you lose somebody super close to you, but boy, you learn a fucking lesson, man.
Right.
You learn a lesson of loss, of how important it is to grieve properly and to understand that there's a greater purpose in life and that God has the plan and you're just a vessel. You're going through life with God's plan and having faith is like the most important thing. And, and even back then, like I still don't think that I understood it. My mind more back then was like universe kind of stuff. Like this is the universe's plan and stuff like that. And I think that transitioned into God and realizing that God has a plan for the universe and he's the king of the universe. And I think that, that perspective back then of like thinking of, I want to call it like kind of hippie thinking of like, oh, the universe is doing this for me and shit like that. And like now being older and more mature and realizing that it was actually God that was guiding me through this process and putting these obstacles in front of me and putting the loss in front of me so that I could learn these lessons, so that I could be the man that I've always envisioned myself being. And now I'm here. I am that man. And back then, if you would have told me I would have ended up here, I would have been like, you're absolutely ridiculous. Like, there's no way. And me and my mom were talking about this the other day on my brother's birthday. I was like, if he didn't die, neither of us would be in Florida. Because she wouldn't have probably remarried who she remarried because she didn't have the trauma. Mm-hmm. She didn't have the underlying of, I need security, I need help, I need somebody to provide for me, stuff like that. If she would have never lost my brother, she would have just went and got another job and dealt with my dad's divorce, and she probably we would have all still been living in Virginia. And who knows what I would have been doing. I probably would have been in jail, to be honest with you. And so for him to die and my mom to be remarried in Illinois, and then Tom, her husband, get a job at the University of Florida, because they asked me to move to Illinois too, and I was like, nah, I don't want this.
Yeah, right.
Fuck Chicago, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then they asked me to move to Florida. I was like, Gainesville, University of Florida, hell yeah, that sounds fun. And lo and behold, it put me into the position that I always wanted to be in, but never knew how to get there. And it just goes back to what I was just saying of like, God has the plan. And just because something absolutely terrible happens to you and your family does not mean it's the end of the world. It could be the start of your new world and your new life. And I really feel like that was what happened. When my brother died, it was tragedy, dude.
Right.
You know, my parents were in shambles. And for me to look at it now and be like, honestly, it was probably the best fucking thing that could ever happen to me. Like, that's really hard to say.
Right.
You know, it's super hard to say, because to say that my brother dying was the best thing that would ever happen to me, it's bonkers. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But you could say it's the best and the worst thing that's ever happened to you. It was the worst thing that had happened, but it was the best thing because I learned the lessons of life and how it got me to this point. And you know, you were a big reminder of that when we met and dealing with past trauma and stuff like that. And I just family is just to the core for me, man. Like I couldn't be stronger, and I know that you feel the same way, and I know that Daryl feels the same way, Pat and Dan, everybody's like on that same page. And that's why I love the Rainmakers so much, is because I feel like everybody's on the same page of like, yo, family first, man.
Right.
You know, love and enjoy the memories while they're here.
Yeah.
And I just love everybody in the group because of that mentality.
Yeah. There's a heart about that group.
There is a heart, man.
You know, I love I love the story you just shared about the tragedy leading to almost gratitude for it. You know, because I've got a client. I've actually got my first woman that I'm leading through Sound Mind right now. And I want you to hear her, so she's been married for little over 2 years. They've got a 1-year-old daughter. They had a 2-month-old die of a rare disease, and her husband had an affair on her. So I coached the husband like 6 months ago, and she was walking with my wife, and she ended up wanting to get him back. And I mean, it was just wild. So my wife's name is Danielle. So she kind of fired her, said, "Hey, you're not ready." Well, she reaches back out a couple of weeks ago and is like, "Hey, are y'all still doing this? I need help." And my wife is still postpartum. She's doing great, but she's like, "I'm not ready. If you're willing for Robbie to do it, he'll do it by Zoom." So we've met a couple times. Last week, I showed up, and on the drive, I keep talking about this Abide Now app I have where you can literally type in any question, whatever's going on.
Is it a free app, or do you have to pay for it?
Well, you do pay for it. It's anyway. I don't pay for it, but other people do.
Yeah.
You can literally ask any question, and it'll spit out an answer with a lot of scripture. So I showed up, and God's like, "I want you to ask her. If she could ask me one question, what would she ask?" So I said, "This is crazy." All right, so we're not even going to go through it. So I showed up, I was like, "Hey," and she wrestles with faith because of everything that's happened. And so she said, "I would ask God, why me? You got all these crackheads and all these women who have no right having children, and I have one that dies from like a very rare disease. I did everything right. Plus, I don't even know if he's real anymore." I typed that thing in, buddy, and then read her the answer, and she was just sitting there stone cold. So she's at that crossroads where you were, right? Because she's questioning, "God, are you real? Are you real?" And I can tell she wants to believe. Like, she looks different than the last time we were walking with her.
Do you think it's because of her husband and what he went through, and she saw the change in him, and that's why she's like really like yearning for this relationship with God?
Honest to God, I don't. I think she is at this place where, oh, and by the way, she's pregnant again. So she's got a baby coming with a guy that she doesn't even know. It's the crazy story that I've stepped in so far, and I count it an honor. Again, I don't take any responsibility. I'm a recovering like Superman. I want to save everybody, but what I'm learning is God does all the saving. So I can just, and I'm loving it because she's like on the precipice of, am I going to believe this or am I not? Sort of like, when you have, because one of the things people say to not believe in God is, if God is a good God, why does all this crap happen? Which is a great question, but it's not for me, because crap happened to me and it transformed my life, and she's right there. So I love that you shared that, because my prayer for her is that she gets it. But I also know that on the flip side, there is an enemy who can't do anything to God, but he sure can come after God's children. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to derail everything, man. And so that my prayer life is getting real, because I'm like, "God, I don't know what you're thinking bringing me into this, but let's go. You show up, put on your cape, and I'm just going to put on my tennis shoes, and I'm just going to show up and walk with her and try to." The abiding is so key to me, because I want to stay close to the Father, because when I sort of don't do that, things don't go well. It's like, you talked about control. A lot of times we want to just control it ourselves, and we're telling God, "You're not doing good enough. I got to fix this." And we make it worse. And that's been my story. I don't want to make things worse anymore. So I'm like, "God, you know her story, and meet her where she's at." But you saying that reminded me of this young lady that I'm actually meeting with her tonight. And I'm excited for that open door. But that's encouraging, because God will do what I can't do.
For sure.
I can't talk her in. You got to believe in Jesus. That does not work. I mean,
it's just like a recovering addict. Like, you have to want it.
Right.
You have to really want what we're talking about. And there was a point that I wanted to say, the control thing, but the being able to like navigate, like being able to think, like, all this bad shit happened to me. Like, and from my perspective, like losing my brother at 16, like, yeah, it was hard, but like the shit that other people go through, dude, like like her losing a 2-month-old to a like super rare disease. Like, you can't help but say, like, why me? Why did this shit happen to me, man? Like, and like, it's such a hard question.
Right.
You know, it's such a hard question to get answered too. Like, why me? Like, it's not you particularly. It's just life. You know, tragedy is a part of life.
Yeah.
And as much as none of us want to admit that it happens to all of us, and dealing with it is the hardest part, is like, and knowing that it's a part of life. Even if a tragedy struck my home today, would I be mad and would I be sad and would I grieve? Probably wrong at first, for sure. But that mentality that I've always had of like learning those lessons from my brother dying, it changes the thoughts of like, yeah, this does absolutely suck, but there's a bigger picture here.
Right.
And a lesson that needs to be learned. And you might not know what that message or that lesson is today, tomorrow, next week, but it will present itself. And that tragedy will become most likely your biggest win. And that's what happened to me. My brother died at 16, and I just kind of skated through life, made minor changes, health changes, job changes, trying school, all the things that I did. And I met Taylor, and when I first moved to Florida, I had like this thought, like, you know, I was girl searching and, you know, whatever. And I was like, if I could just like, you know, literally I said it to God, blonde hair, cheerleader, like, I think we've talked about this before, like, just like really like just silly stuff, like very like typical male shit, you know, you know, like just like the description of a woman that I wanted, dude. And I'd be damned if she ain't that person. You know what I mean? Like, and like really God brought me to her, or her to me, one or the other, because he was working through her whole life. She's been a Christian woman her whole life. And, you know, and I went to church, and I, you know, my mom taught me the values of God and Christianity and all that stuff. But I strayed away once my brother died, and went more towards like universe things and stuff like that. And so meeting her, she was really about it. And I remember this one time we were in bed and we were talking about like the Revelation book in the Bible. And I was just, you know, kind of laughing it off or whatever.
That's a mood killer, right?
Yeah, it's such a mood killer.
Revelation.
Mood killer for sure. And I think that was like really like my first like entry point into the Bible. And I think we had talked about that in one of our coffee sessions. And I don't know what it was about, like her faith was just so strong of like the Bible is real and God is real, and it, so I don't know, something stuck with me. Something stuck with me. And then I think we became more friends at that point, like after that. And so my point is like, I went fucking 20 years almost without knowing what that changed, because my brother died literally 18 and a half years ago, May 2nd, 2009, maybe 8. I'm having a brain fart, but 20 years almost it took for me to really find that real truth of like, this shit had to happen, dude. All of it had to happen. And even when my dad died, I asked that same question that woman asked. Why me? Why do I have to lose so many freaking people in my life? And him dying, I could say it again, dude. It wasn't I couldn't say it was the best thing that's happened to me, but like, what a fucking lesson learned, dude. Like, take care of yourself. Don't drink excessively. Don't treat your body like shit. Your body is a temple. You know, treat it as a temple and respect it, and health and wellness. And, you know, obviously I have my flaws. I smoke and drink and, you know, whatever, but like, I make it a point to like really like hone in on that and like make health a priority. And back then, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, so Yeah, man, it's what a journey it's been, dude. And like, I look back at those times and cringe the way that I used to think, dude. And like, I'm such at peace now, and I feel like I have a sound mind. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm operating with a sound mind, and my decisions are godly based. I ask God for help in my decisions. I'm not the biggest prayer guy. I'm very easily to admit that. Like, I try to read the Bible. I try to abide. I try to do it as much as I can when I think about it. And, you know, obviously I could do more. We could all do more. But it is such a hard thing to admit that tragedy can be the best thing that's ever happened to you. In the moment, hell no. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to you. But like when you're in the future and you've learned that lesson, it's like so valuable, dude. It's so valuable to have that like thought of everything happens for a reason. Right. And there is a greater plan than what you can even comprehend. And I wouldn't have been able to learn that without talking with you, man. I think, you know, Taylor was like a decent vessel for me to find it. And then I just needed to find a man that I could look up to in that space. And seeing how you operate and how you are a family man and how you raise your kids and how you dove into your faith of sound mind and having that much faith in God, man, to really take a step away from mortgage, which you made hella money at. You were living a good life, and you took a step away from that to do what you thought was your calling. And buddy, you're going to kill it in life, man. You are going to absolutely kill it. And those random donations and stuff like, it's just going to get bigger, dude. It's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And, you know, until you're that guy, your mentor, Doc, you know, I truly believe that about you, dude. You're so passionate about what you do, man, and have taught me lessons. And I'm sure you've taught lessons to the other people that have went through the program, and just forever grateful, brother. I'm truly, truly forever grateful.
Awesome. Me too, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, brother. Well, we're going to wrap it up, man. We didn't get to talk much about the mortgage, but you do mortgage. You're the Robbie Gibson, the Ocala mortgage guy.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I don't chase it, man.
Yeah.
Our new mortgage guy is way better than I am. He's awesome. Yeah.
That's B&I for sure. Mike is an absolutely phenomenal human being as well. But I just wanted to let the people know that Sound Mind is not the only thing that you do. You know, you are a mortgage guy as well, so you can help people with homes, and you know, that's a part of the moving process as well. I think that you're just a great human being and easy to work with all the way around, whether it be Sound Mind or mortgages. And I think that people should know that. So I really appreciate your time, brother. I really appreciate all of our conversations that we've had in the past. And what in your life, we'll end it with this question. What in your life do you think really brought you to God? Have you always been a God-fearing man, or like, is there a moment in your life where you can really look back and be like, this is what, was it the divorce with your first wife and being a single dad? Was that?
Well, it was the divorce with my first wife, like years ago, It was 2005. I was living in Salt Lake City, and I was mad at God, and I was walking the city. And God doesn't speak to me a lot. I know I told a story. I'm going to tell you one quick one. I was walking the city, and I'm like, if you're real, show yourself. I was an angry, recovering Baptist. I'd been baptized like 14 times. Every time a scary preacher came, I was like, all right, I'm going to pray the prayer, get baptized again. One night I was walking downtown Salt Lake, and I was sort of just wrestling with God, kind of like Jacob did in the Bible. And he said, let me father you. And that's all I'd ever wanted. My dad wasn't a part of my life from 5 and on very, very much. That's all I'd ever wanted. And little did I know, within weeks after that, I was in my truck driving to Ocala to live with my sister and brother-in-law. And that was God's rescue story of me. I mean, I was 32, and it's all.
What a leap of faith!
And it was all. It was all I could do. I had nobody there. I was in Salt Lake, and my sister opened her door to me. And I thought I was going to be here 6 months. And this August, August the 5th, whenever that was, a couple of days ago. 21 years here. 2 great kids, a great wife, and I am.
And that's really what you being back to Ocala probably like linked you back up with Doc too, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's how it all started right there, dude.
Yes.
So
I like to go. I only look backwards to remind myself where God brought me. I never let condemnation draw me back. A lot of people go back to that crap, and I don't. I love watching God move the chess pieces. We talk about that all the time, and He does. If you let go and control you let Him control the big stuff, watch out. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you.
Yeah, you too.
You coming on, brother. I appreciate the stories. I appreciate. I just appreciate you, brother. You're a great human being, and I'm just really happy to know you and happy to be your friend, man.
Back at you, man. Same.
Absolutely.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you, everybody, for watching, guys. Making Moves podcast. I'm Austin Hendricks, your host. Thank you for watching. Robbie Gibson, the Ocala mortgage guy, but also, more importantly, sound mind. So give us a like, share, follow, and we'll see you next time.